would you take a look at Uber Boober? I'm not going to say that ever again. I don't think I like how that sounded. But after hours, this guy right around 5% up. Ooh, it just jumped a little bit more. Gotta love it. At one point, this thing was, let's just take a little peek-see, up right around 10% almost. So that's pretty exciting for Uber shareholders. But if you think about it, obviously right now 5% up. So for the day, right around 5% up if you include the normal trading window. Since IPO on this bad boy last year, it is still down, but should be after this most recent price change. It'll be not down that much. Somewhere around 5% down since IPO, which isn't awful if you consider the lows right here around 25. If it's a 2-week low of 25.5. So all things considered, not awful. What I do want to say is awful would potentially be, debatable is these earnings. So there's a good reason, and I'll get into it why Uber ended up shooting up to the moon. It wasn't necessarily outright because of this earnings report, because it's pretty well just an average, right along estimates type earnings. So GAAP EPS of negative 64 cents. Hate. I don't like non-profitable companies, but it's okay. We'll make it live for now, for the sake of this video. They did make a little more profit than people had expected, so good for them. Revenue of, or not make enough profits. They lost less than people expected. How about that? They definitely didn't make a profit, but revenue of $4 billion, which is plus 37% year over year, which is definitely big, and that's definitely a factor in obviously the positive reaction. But the main real positive reaction, well, we'll get at just uno segundo. Yikes. So Uber reports an upside quarter 4 with 37% revenue growth. Monthly active platform customers missed the estimate. So, you consider it, but they did beat their revenue goal. So technically, they did find more revenue per user. Is something to consider with that, but they missed it's rough when you miss a estimate in terms of users. Nowadays, that's something that'll get your stock plummeted. But they did have another reason in which why they did boost it up. And you see, obviously, there was a slight negative reaction at the start. Some of that because first off, the non-profitability. This thing shot down 1%, was it 2% for a little bit, because obviously this user miss isn't exactly what people were looking for. But from a bookings perspective, on gross bookings, obviously they're nasty. I was just kidding. That's just total combined. I'm just kidding. From a ride-sharing standpoint, they were right with consensus, and through Uber Eats, they were a little bit above consensus. But Uber Eats is a drag on their profit. Quarter 4 loss totaled $1.1 billion. Oh, freak me. They lost $1 billion in 3 months. Do you know what I would do with $1 billion? Well, my family would be set for many generations. Many generations. But this company just lost $1 billion. Just like that in 3 months. I'm never going to see that money in a lifetime. And they saw it in 3 months. Woo. That is insane. But they were a little bit below consensus of $1.15 billion that was expected loss. So that's painful. That's painful in my perspective. I hate seeing it. But what drove the stock up? Well, it would be the guidance. Okay, so, and take it with a grain of salt, because they can say whatever they want, but if they're still losing $1 billion a quarter, I'm not buying anything right now. I'm certainly not buying it. But they guide for a full year 2020 bookings growth of 15 to 23%. Nothing crazy. It seems that's a little bit of a slowdown, which is not super exciting. Adjusted net revenue growth of 24 to 32%. That's okay. And adjusted EBITDA of negative $1.45 to $1.25, which is significantly less loss than what they saw this year. And here's the kicker. Expects quarter 4 of this year to be the first positive year, the first profitable quarter. No freaking way. I'm just going to throw it out right now. That's where this hype's coming in. That's why people are buying back into it. This is a stock that's losing $1 billion every 3 months right now. It lost $4 billion in a 3-month period previously. You're going to tell me all of a sudden now you're going to go ahead and post profitability by the end of the year? There's going to have to be a dramatic change in business model if they plan on doing that. Now, if they have something planned, that's exciting. Good for them. But at the current status of the business, there's 0% chance that this is even feasible. And it isn't. These people got to stop with this nonsense just to get people buying the stock. That's frankly what it seems like to me. I think this is an effort to get people to invest in the stock so they can raise capital. I think that frankly is the reason for it. I'm not a huge fan of this. I don't think it's viable. Profitability for a full year 21, I don't buy it. I don't buy it right now, just the way this company looks. I think you got several more years waiting, several more years before you actually find profitability. That's just my perspective on it. This company's not where it needs to be right now in terms of that, so I'm not buying any of this guidance. We'll look at some of these numbers. Obviously, we saw the revenue line. So what I really want to care about, obviously, we're going to look at these monthly actives from 2018 from platform consumers, monthly actives, platform consumers, up 22, trips up 28%, bookings up 28%, revenue up 37%, cool. Adjusted net revenue up 41%, cool for them. Net loss, that's right, another extra 24% of net loss. Yikers. But technically only lost $615 million from rides in 2019. Don't know about that one. Just doesn't make me happy. Total trips, so for a full year, and this is just off a quarterly basis, for the full year, this company lost $2.7 billion. Yikes. But after a net loss of really $8.5 billion, but the adjusted is 2.7. So, wow. I'm just going to say right there, to me, this is an increasing number of loss. This is not decreasing. So Uber kind of needs to get their head out of their tuchus, because this number is going up significantly. They're rising in terms of the amount of money they're losing. They are not decreasing it. That's my main statement here. They can say whatever they freaking want, but I will clap back at them, because this is nonsense. You're going to get investors hyped up, but you can't even seem to start getting an idea of what profitability is like. Come on now. You lost $8.5 billion this year. And you're going to try to tell investors we're going to be profitable in 3 quarters. Bull crap. Just bull crap. I'm just not buying it. If they do, I'll be shocked. You can use this one as a gotcha. I was wrong, but I'm just not seeing it feasible. It just doesn't seem feasible. Doesn't seem feasible at all. So from Uber Eats perspective, they grew at 71%. Good for them. Uber Freight up 74%. Cool. That's fun stuff. That was rocking me. That's in gross bookings, which we really care about, but we also want to look at the full year ending, if it'll give me it, which it's not going to, but that's fine. We care about from a rides perspective. Let's just take a look, see what they have to say for me. So UberX trip growth remained robust. Rides grew 23% in quarter 4. That's cool for them. Key new markets growing rapidly. High priority new markets in Argentina, Germany, Japan, South Korea, and Spain delivered gross bookings growth that Q4 was more than 4 times overall rides booking growth. Good for them. They're expanding. But if they're not making profit, doesn't matter. You're just going to lose more the more you expand that revenue without actually having profitability. But Eats achieved comparable gross bookings in a top 10 rides country. Good for them. As proof of our strength of our platform, in only 3 years since launch, Eats has achieved comparable gross bookings to rides in Australia, despite rides having launched 8 years ago. Eats subscription continued expansion. Eats subscription rolled out to all U.S. cities, excluding California, and to Taiwan and South Africa, our first international market to launch this product. Freight continued to expand in offering carriers in-app bundles, which allow carriers to book multiple loads at once. Cool for them. Jump launched new markets and won permits in key cities. Launched scooters in San Francisco, bikes in Rome, and scooters in Sao Paulo. That's how you gotta say it, Sao Paulo. Just so you know. Recent development: divested India Eats business. Zomato. That's what the company's called. Popular food app in India. Acquired our food delivery business in India. So Uber Eats in India, bye-bye. You got taken out by Zomato. Good for them. Uber Eats is a money-losing piece of trash. So I'm not too upset about them, selling off that portion of their business. I think it's a good aspect, at least for that one country. I don't think they should be involved in Uber Eats right now. I think it's a really cool product for a lot of people, but they don't make money on it. And it's a liability nightmare. I think Uber is a liability nightmare as a whole. If we're talking about just in the world we live today, I feel like there's such an influx of craziness. I don't know if that's politically correct to say, but there's a lot of crazy people out there, and I guess there always have been, but it just makes things a lot easier for crazy people to do crazy things. Getting in a car alone with someone you've never met, you have no clue who they are. It's similar to a taxi, but it is just to me seems a little more sketchy because they're employed, but are they? Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Uber, Lyft. I just don't like the services for many reasons, just because I don't trust people, and there have already been countless stories of people that have had experiences, very just harmful experiences on these type of platforms. With Uber Eats, someone could easily put something in your food you don't know, spit in your food. There's people that go into grocery stores now and freaking open a thing of ice cream and lick it and then put it back. So I don't trust the person delivering my food not to spit in it. I'll go get my own food. Please don't worry about it. I'm not that lazy. I know a lot of people are that lazy, and I think there's a reason for Uber, get you to point A to point B, and it's very rare that these type of situations, these awful situations would happen. But I think it's just making it more accessible is tough. And I think it's going to cost Uber a lot of legal fees in the future. I don't think there's any denying that, because in the end, they're going to get sued to bits when this kind of stuff happens. Someone robs you, your Uber ride robs you. It could happen. Your Uber ride does other unspeakable things to you. They're not only going to be taking that guy to jail, obviously, but then, right after that, you're going to sue the crap out of Uber. That's just frankly how it's going to go. And you have every right to, and you should. Because you already know suing that person is not going to give you any money. So sue the company that let it happen. Okay. We're off the tangent. Cash and cash equivalents. Good number for them, okay? Good number. $10 billion. Cash and cash equivalents, up from $6.5 billion the previous year. But, let's take a look at something. Long-term debt, huh? Not horrific. Accounts payable, pretty low. All things considered, with a total debt, so total liabilities is really what I think is fair to look at, of $16 billion. The balance sheet is not horrific because they have cash to balance it out right now. But that's from raising capital. When the company's losing money at such a high rate, they're not going to have money long term to pay off debt like this. So they really need to become profitable. Otherwise, this stock is going to get diluted countless times for them to raise capital. And we'll see where the business takes them. I'm not saying Uber's not going to be successful in the long term. I'm saying I wouldn't invest in it for several reasons. I'm not a believer in it. I think there's going to be many people that join the system. I think they're a step ahead of them. I just don't know if ride sharing is a market I'm necessarily a fan of, nor the Uber Eats aspect of it. But just from the ride sharing perspective, I'm just not a fan of it. Just because I know people have had experiences. It's some crazy stuff. For the most part, everything will be fine. You'll meet some nice people. But I'd rather just get a rental car, personally, if I have to. So, I mean, I don't have to worry about the whole, I don't drink, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I did, if I was drunk, I mean, I've never been, but if I was, I would go ahead and go with the designated driver as opposed to calling a stranger, especially when you're drunk. I mean, someone could steal your freaking wallet from you while you're in Uber ride and no one would know. Or you wouldn't realize until the next day, and by that time, they're gone. Regardless, I think that's all I got for you. That's some Uber earnings. Hope you enjoyed.